Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Sorry, this weekly outlook will come out a little bit later as I've been crooked for the last couple of days, but feeling much better today. So getting on to the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the H4. Nothing's really changed since last week. We've got this WX. We're in this wave Y. This wave Y got down to that 161.8, but it still may not be over yet. I am waiting for a correction, a similar size to this over here in the X2 before we look for that Z down. On the H1, this here is looking quite corrective in here, just breaking the top. It may just break the top again and then give a wave Z down to finish off this wave Y. So you could wait for a sell setup in here, let this one break this top here, and then give you a sell setup to trade that Z down. AU on the H4. Like I mentioned last week, we got this WXY, X2. We got that Z up. We lost all the bearish divergence. So I'm really, wherever this wave Z ends, I'll just be looking for a correction, a larger correction before we get more upside. On the H1, we may still get this Z up. I'm looking at a WXY, X2, and be looking for that Z up. I'll be waiting for a correction of similar size to this over here. And then any buy setup I get, I'll be looking for the buy. EU on the H4. Very similar to AU. We got this WXY, X2, a Z up. We lost all the bearish divergence. Like I mentioned last week, we can look at this a couple of different ways. We can look at this as a larger flat in here, and we get a WXY. Then we'll be looking for the larger correction and then a Z up. That's possible as well. We'll have to wait and see what if we get the larger correction. If we get a correction a similar size to this over here, well, then we'll change the count to have this flat in here. But either way, we're still looking for a correction and then more upside. On the H1, we still may get this Z up. Looking at a WXY, looking for an X2 and a Z up. I'd let this come down, break this low here, and then any buy setup you get, you could look for that Z up. GU on the H4. Again, nothing's really changed since last week. I'm looking at that A, B, and we're in this wave C. We aren't up to that 100 fib yet. We are starting to get that bearish divergence. On the H1, we got this WXY, got the X2. If you get any little buy set up in here, you could look for that Z up. First targeting the 123.6 and then the 161.8 as your second target. NU on the H4. This is very choppy in here. We got that like WXY, X2. We got that Z up again. We lost all the bearish divergence. If we look at this wave Z, still may get a Z up in here as well. I'm looking at that WXY, X2, and I'll be looking for that Z up. We have broken a trend line in here. If you get any bullish setup, you can look for the buy. If we quickly go down to the M15, this is looking a little bit bearish in here. It's looking a little bit bearish in here, so we may get some sort of an A, B, C, A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C in here. And then we get the larger A, B, C for that Z up. So this may become quite complex in here. But as soon as you get that buy set up, I'll be looking for the buy. UY on the H4. So I'm looking at that WX. We're still in this wave Y. Then I'll be looking for that X2, similar size correction as this here, over here, up to the 38.2 or maybe even the 50 fib. And then I'll be looking for that Z down. I dare say we will get a bear hidden in here. If we get that bear hidden, that more confirmation that we'll get this Z down. At this stage, it's a little bit early. On the H1, again, this is looking very corrective. You can see here we got a high correction, higher high, getting another correction. It's not going anywhere. It's very corrective. So I'll just be waiting for all this chop to end, then give us a sell setup, and I'll be looking for the sell. Oh, my mouse is playing up a little bit. UY on the H4. So this one here, we've just got one wave down. I'll be waiting for a correction in here up to the 50 fib or maybe even the 61.8. And then I'll be looking for like an A, B, C. There is a chance that this is the end of the move and we do go up and break that top. So you can look for buys. I think it's rather risky because we do have a lower low here. So yeah. You can see here, we've got to move up, correction, move up, we're getting correction. More than likely we will get more upside. So you can look for a buy, put a buy stop just above this high here and ride it up to the 50 fib. Yeah, again, it's quite risky. As you can see, this isn't looking very motive. It's looking very corrective. UCAD on the H4. So we got this WXY. Got down to this, well, nearly got down to this 123.6. I'll be waiting for a correction in here. This could be quite choppy for quite a while because I'm looking for a correction a similar size as this over here. So it could be choppy for a couple of weeks before we get that Z down. On the H1, we got this WXY. Looking for that X2 and a Z down. We may get this Z down and that'll end the wave Y. Again, this is looking very corrective for more downside. So if you get any sell set up in here, you could look for that Z down, first targeting the 123.6 and then the 161.8. GY on the H4. We got this like A, B, C. There are a couple of different ways we can look at this, but at this stage, that's what I'm looking at. We do have the bearish divergence. This in here you can see is looking very corrective, so I'm expecting at least another one down. On the H1, we are getting a larger correction in here. I was just looking for a correction of similar size to that. Instead, we're getting a larger correction. So I'm just looking at it as a WXY, larger correction, and more than likely we get a WXY in here. Any sell setup you get, I'll be looking for the sell. EG on the H4. This is extremely choppy. This is probably one of the hardest pairs to trade. I've never liked trading this pair because it's just so choppy, unpredictable. But we got this W, X, Y, X2, and a Z down. Whether we look at this as a flat in here, we can. And we just got an A, B, C. Either way, we hit a low here. We had all the bullish divergence. We got to move up. We're in a correction now, and I'll be looking for another one up. The correction's turning quite complex. On the H1, this is impulsive. So we can look at this as an A, B, C in here. This wave C is extremely choppy as well. So this may turn even more complex and give some sort of an A, B, C. Then we get an A, B, C to finish off the B wave. And then we get that like the A, B, C. So again, this may turn quite complex. And as you can see, we are getting all this bullish divergence in here. Gold on the H4. Like I mentioned last week, this is very unusual because we got this very deep correction. Didn't quite break the low, but we got a WXY. We got up to that 123.6 and we never got any bearish divergence. So I'm just waiting for a correction in here, similar size to this, before I look for that Z up. I dare say, like I mentioned last week, more than likely we'll get a bull hidden in here. If we get that bull hidden, that'll give us more confirmation that we will get that Z up. At this stage, it is too early to tell. On the H1, there was a nice sell setup. I'm more interested in the buys, but there was a nice sell setup in here. I'd be first targeting that 38.2 and then the 50 fib if you took it. Here you can see we are getting the bull hidden on the H1. So really you can only buy until the possible bull hidden becomes invalid. We need a break below this level here to invalidate that possible bull hidden. But again, I still think that we'll get a bull hidden in here and then we'll get the Z up on the H4. Looking at silver. Silver, we got the WXY, X2 and the Z up. We got the bearish divergence on this one. So instead of selling gold, I'd be more interested in selling if you got a nice sell set up to sell silver, because this one can go down and break the low. because we already have that bearish divergence. On the H1, it's not really giving nice sell setups. You'd really need to go down onto the lower time frame. You may have got onto this one here. It's not really going anywhere. Yeah, I'd be waiting for a larger correction and then looking for your sell setup and looking for the sell, at least for an A, B, C. WTI on the H4. So I'm looking at an A, B, C. So any buy setup I get here, I'm looking for the buy. This is I was sort of just looking for a running flat. It's turned into an expanding flat, but I am still looking for at least a C up. On the H1, we really aren't getting, we don't have any bullish divergence for a start. So we may get another one down in here. If I quickly go down to the M15, on the M15, you can see that we we don't have any bullish divergence, and we have a possible bear hidden here. So this may go down, break the low. If it goes down, breaks the low, gives us a bullish divergence, and then a buy setup, I'll be looking for that buy. Bitcoin on the H4. Like I mentioned last week, this is looking very corrective in here for more downside. So I'm looking for that A, B, C. We don't have any bullish divergence. If I go down to the H1, it's pretty much untradeable at the moment. Like it's just going sideways. Extremely risky to trade it either way until you get a nice breakout and a nice impulse and flag or correction to buy or sell. So at this stage, I'd really be staying out. I was sort of looking at it as like at an A, B, C. We never got that C up. Instead, we still may get that C up, but it's virtually going sideways. We may just get a spike up here and then it falls over. So at this stage, I would be really staying out of it until it becomes clearer. S&P on the H4. So we got this WX. We're in this wave Y. We still may be in this wave Y, and we may even get up to that 161.8 yet. The safest way is to wait for the correction. If I just go down to the H1, you can see here we got a WXY. Wait for this X2 and then look for that Z up. I don't believe we have a hidden divergence here. No, we don't have a hidden divergence. I'd be waiting for the time factor of this over here. So this still may give us another one down. And then if you get a buy set up, then you could look for that wave set up. AU 200 on the H4. So I'm looking at that A, B, C. We do have the bearish divergence, but this here is still looking rather bullish. May get another one up in here. Excuse me. So we sort of got a WXY X, Y, getting an X2, we may get that Z up. I wouldn't be looking for that Z up, but I'll be more interested in waiting for that Z up, then giving us a nice impulse down and a sell setup. Then I'll be looking for the sell. Looking at the DAX on the H4. So we're up to that 100 fib on the daily. We don't have any bearish divergence in this move up here. So it may become, if I just go to the daily, this may become expanding like an A, B, C as an expanding flat, and then we get the A, B, C. On the H1, we are starting to get, it has broken the top. So we are starting to get that bearish divergence at the end here. So it becomes extremely risky to start even scalping the buys. It becomes quite risky. I mean, you can scalp them, but yeah, I'd be more interested in waiting for this to end. Wherever this ends, waiting for a nice impulse down and a sell setup to sell. I'm not really interested in the buys at this stage. Looking at the FTSE on the H4. If I quickly go over to the daily, like I mentioned last week, we still can get up to this 100 fib. There is still a little bit of room. We don't have, we actually have a bear hidden here between this top and where it is now. So it can fall over at any time. On the H4, we did get across on the MACD in here. So I'll have to check to see if we got a higher high here. No, we haven't quite got a higher high here. A bit of luck, we get a little bit more upside, giving us a bearish divergence, and then any sell setup you get, definitely look for the sell, because we do have that possible bear hidden on the daily. Yeah, so we haven't broken that top. Last week, I said we already have that bearish divergence, so it becomes very risky to scalp the buys. As you can see, it's just very choppy. Tried to break the top. It hadn't quite broken the top. It still may break the top, but like I said, I'm more interested in the sell. I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.